Hello, ladies and gentlemen. What's going on? Phil here. Welcome to the show. It looks like my leaderboard is crooked for some reason. Let's fix that. Welcome to the show, everyone. Welcome to Ask the King. Today is Thursday, May 27, 2021. I'm Darkside Phil. I welcome you here to the show. This is the first time that I'm doing Ask the King in almost 3 months because this month has been very busy for new releases. In fact, right now I'm in the midst of playing 3 new release games and trying to finish them up. I am in the end of 2 of them. So basically the show was supposed to be much earlier this month, but in the midst of playing all these new releases, plus the fact that everything that happened in the last month that's been so crazy. Everyone knows who's been following me, all the crazy shit that happened to me in the last month. First, losing my Twitch partnership for no legitimate or valid reason at all, not even being told by Twitch why. Then, weeks later, getting banned from the site, or I should say suspended from the site, for something I literally didn't do, them admitting their mistake and re-admitting me to the site within an hour, right? And then me saying, screw all this, this is in 2 terrible things happening in 1 month with these assholes, I'm moving over to YouTube. So taking my streams off of Twitch and moving them exclusively over to YouTube, where I am right now live streaming from DSP Gaming on YouTube, right? And then coming to find out after the fact, weeks after that, supposedly I lost my partnership because I was using hateful speech. Fucking ridiculous nonsense. I'm not one of the least hateful fucking people that there could be in content creation. I don't rant and rave about, topics that are gonna have anyone say shit like that. It's just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Every once in a while, I say something because I'm pissed off at a game or someone who's already actively attacking me or insulting me. But I'm not a hateful person who sits on a fucking stream saying hateful things constantly, right? So, the most ridiculous, absolutely most ridiculous month I've had, okay? And since this show was supposed to be in early May, but we saw what happened over the course of the last month. We had the Twitch issues and everything, moving over to YouTube. I'm finally getting around to doing the show. This is actually the 86th episode? Yes, the 86th episode of Ask the King. About a decade this show has been running, which is pretty damn crazy when you really think about it. I don't do it as consistently as I used to. And admittedly, guys, I said this on the pre-stream, and I'm going to say it live on the show as well. For those of you who are longtime viewers of me, longtime viewers of my content, and longtime viewers of this show, Ask the King, I don't know how viable it really is to do it anymore. I'll be honest with all of you, these questions, there wasn't a lot. There was not a lot to work with in order to put together a show this time. And this was me waiting extra weeks, like 2-3 extra weeks from when the show was originally supposed to be broadcast and recorded, and telling people on my streams constantly, please post up your questions. And still, it was hard to put together enough questions for this show. Maybe the era of Ask the King is a bygone era, and maybe we should just accept the fact that because I'm an interactive live streamer, I talk with you guys every single day now, and therefore there's really no reason for an ongoing Q&A show like this. But the thing is, every time I say something like that, the longtime viewers and fans freak out and say, no, Ask the King is one of the final remnants of what you used to do on YouTube. You know, all those other shows have gone away. DSP Tries isn't consistent anymore, only happens during special events. There's no more weekend preview. There's no more channel updates. There's no more this or this or this. Ask the King is the one running show you still do, and one of the few pieces of content you put up on your vlogging channel, The King of Hate Vlogs, so keep doing it. So every single time that I go to say, well, maybe the show shouldn't be done, then you guys want me to do it, and I end up doing it. All right, so we're going to do the show. Let's see how the show goes today, all right? We're going to have patron questions. Yes, for the first time in, like, a lot of episodes, we actually have a couple questions from patrons because people actually pledged to my Patreon this month to help me out when I lost my Twitch partnership, and thank you to anyone who did. So we're going to have 2 questions from patrons. We're going to have questions posted specifically on the forums, then questions off of my Twitter from over here from earlier today, and then when there's time at the end of the show, which likely there'll be at least a segment where I'll be taking live questions from the stream chat as well. All right, so tons of ways to submit your questions. I hope that you will. All right. By the way, if you want to support this show, there's many ways to do so now. You can send a tip live right there. That'll get a pop-up on the stream if you do, and I'll give you a shout-out. Now I have enabled pop-up messages for people who are members of the channel, like which is the subs here. They're called members on YouTube. Or super chats, which are the equivalent of what cheers used to be over on Twitch. Those get pop-up messages now. Those are going to show up here, and then the tips are going to show up here. So we're going to have things popping up all over the screen now during my streams, okay? So thank you to anyone who does contribute to the stream in advance. In fact, BattleDuck9000 tipped me $4.20 and said, let's get ready to rumble. And Gary BKK just tipped me $25. So thank you guys for your contributions so far today. Let's get those up on the leaderboard. Gary is now the top contributor of the stream. Thank you, thank you. So that's going to be 43, right? 43 bucks. Oh, wait, then I have to add in Battle Duck, which is 420, so it's actually 47. Very nice. Thank you guys for an early start. Appreciate that. If we do hit 150 channel memberships, we'll unlock a new emote slot, which is how it actually works on YouTube, which is kind of similar to how Twitch works. Let's be honest here. It's not 50, it's 25. The more, you know, the more members you get, the more emotes you unlock. And we have to hit 150 and we unlock a new one. So, FYI. Okay? All right. Thank you guys for the contributions. Let us now get started with the questions, shall we? All right. So, we're going to start off with patron questions this time around. 2 patrons wanted to get their questions answered on the show. We start off with Trev Slayer. He says, hey, Phil, good to see you thriving after 12 years of content creation. If you can believe it, I'm coming up on 13. It would be this September, 13 years of content creation now. A handful of years ago, you used to have such positive comments on your YouTube videos and such. That wasn't a handful of years ago. That was a long time ago. I mean, we're talking probably from the years 2008 through maybe 2012, 2013. Almost every comment was positive. Then, because of the rise of This Is How You Don't Play, we saw a lot of people coming in and they wanted to get noticed. So they would come in and start saying absolutely disgusting things on my videos. And I would say over the course of like 2014 to 2016, every comment became a toxic negative comment that was insulting because people wanted to be noticed on the videos, the negative videos made about me. And that's when I think it was 2017, I just turned off all comments. My longtime viewers and supporters said, please just turn off the comments. We can't even go to your videos anymore because it's toxic in the comments. We don't want to deal with it anymore. And that's why I turned it off. Okay? He said, now you can't even enable comments on stream on YouTube without an extreme amount of trolling. Absolutely correct. Why do you think the internet became so toxic? Well, just like everything, the internet, it changes over time. And as it becomes more mainstream and more people use it, more people find out ways to abuse it. Just being honest, you know, with the internet, it's still to this day, unless you're doing some like horrendous crime, right? Like, you know, you're stalking someone to the point where you're threatening to kill them, or child pornography, or using the internet to have slaves be sold. I'm serious, this happens. Besides those like crazy things that like the FBI and shit would investigate, most things that go on the internet just never get investigated, and there's no consequences for any of them. Like, you could get away with so much really nasty, destructive, toxic shit on the internet under the guise of anonymity, and no one can do anything about it. When I started on YouTube 13 years ago now, okay, when I posted up a video on YouTube, almost every comment would be, wow, here's a new piece of content from Darkside Phil. This is cool. He's a funny guy. Look, he's playing a game. We get to see this game for free. Oh, look, he's playing Street Fighter. He has to add some insight, and we get to see some fun gameplay. Plus, he talks shit, and it's hilarious to hear what he has to say. It was like, and no matter what, people were like, celebratory. We're happy that people are posting up free content on the internet for us to digest. We don't have to spend anything, but we get to watch entertaining and fun and free content. That was the general attitude on YouTube when people were putting comments on videos about 12, 13 years ago. And over the course of time, what ended up happening was that it became more mainstream, more people got into it, and now once it becomes oversaturated, once there's so many people doing something, now the shitheads come in and realize now it's time for us to get away with being toxic, right? So now, wow, we can create a groupthink mentality of basically cultists who just shit on content creators constantly. If you don't believe me, there's entire websites to this shit. You're talking hundreds of people, thousands of people who all just participate in this really disgusting behavior. It's certainly not healthy, and it's certainly not normal behavior, but it exists. And I've had to very, very sadly accept that this is kind of going to exist as long as I'm a content creator, as long as I'm someone who's on the internet, putting myself out here in a public way and putting out content for you guys to digest. There's going to be people who are going to be toxic and negative and are going to attack said content and are going to attack me and my family personally. There's going to be people who are going to leave negative comments on my streams, my videos. They're going to try to flood every avenue of stuff that they could do. Don't even get me started on fucking social media and Twitter. All right. I don't know what else to say. Anyone who has a life that's positive and productive and has actual things in their life that are positive and productive, they focus on that. They don't focus on bringing others down. They focus on propping up the things in their life that are good. So the only thing that I can surmise is that, number one, so much content started getting thrown on the internet that people decided that it wasn't anything to celebrate anymore. It's nothing special. And number two, people realized that they were miserable and they could share that miserableness with other people across the globe in an anonymous way by trying to ruin their lives through online harassment and being able to get away with it with absolutely zero repercussions. I mean, all the disgusting stuff that's happened to me over the years, and websites like Twitter, YouTube, they don't really give a shit. They don't really do anything about it. You can mass report someone till the cows come home, and 9 times out of 10, they just don't care. It's only if, like, something truly harmful happens. Like if someone actually posts up real private information about me or an actual death threat, then these websites and things will take action. But outside of that, they just don't care. It just becomes a way for people, it becomes a harassment avenue. You know, oh, I could go to YouTube and just fucking make fun of someone constantly and make their lives miserable. Let me do it. I could do it because I can get away with it, right? It is what it is. Now, again, someone who has a positive life, someone who has things in their life that they love, positive hobbies, positive friends, family members, significant others, they don't have time for that shit. They don't have time to sit on the internet and hate on someone. And let me tell you, it's been an eye-opening experience over the last several years when I actually deal with people who are not from the internet, people who are like in real life, all right? And I meet them in real life and we have conversations about who I am and what I do. They cannot believe the stories I tell them. They just can't. They think I'm fucking with them. They think I'm lying when I say stuff like, oh, this person actually did this messed up thing to me or whatever. They actually don't believe me. They actually refuse to believe me. They say, no, there's no way that that's true. You're making that up. No, it's real. I have evidence of it. It's documented that this person did a messed up thing. And and then they'll be like, oh, really? By the way, shout out to Stray Bullet, who just became a member to the channel. There it is. There's the pop-up right there. Sadly, oh, man. That kind of sucks. You can't really read it, right? All right, hold on a second. Just for the purposes of this stream, I'm going to move that pop-up because you can't read that shit at all. I couldn't read that, right? I'll move it. Here, I'll move it to the upper right-hand corner. That way you'll be able to read the name. That was bad. I couldn't read a thing on that one. And in fact, I'll probably do the same thing for the tips as well. Where is it? Yeah. I'll move them all to the upper corners. That way you guys can actually read the text. Thank you, Stray Bullet, for the channel membership. And sorry we couldn't read your name. I botched it. It's the first time I'm doing this stuff. So apologies there. Okay. So anyway, guys. Yeah, people who aren't part of this internet culture, when you tell them the shit that goes down on the internet, they don't believe you. Because they're like, nah, there's no way that people are that bunch of losers. They have no lives. They just sit there on the internet doing this shit all day. Yes. And they can't believe it. To tell someone that during my bankruptcy process last year, that someone actually called into a phone hearing that I was involved in and impersonated one of my creditors to try to troll me during a stream, they can't believe it. No, there's no way that happened. It's on the internet, dude. Just bring up the video. Oh, shit. Really? They can't believe it. So anyway, the point I'm making, Trev Slayer, is this happens with everything, though. Like, this is when people realize they can get away with something, and people who just don't have anything productive in their lives to do, they'll fuck around with people. And it's becoming more and more, sadly, more and more apparent that there's a lot of people on this planet who up here, they're not aligned like others. You know what I'm saying? Like, people who have a busy life that's productive don't have time for that shit. But there's people out there who literally have nothing to do with their lives but just sit on the internet and troll people. And that's fucked up when you think about it. Literally all you do is sit on the internet and troll people. You don't have a job. You don't have any friends, any family members, no significant other. All you do is sit there on the internet and troll people. Yes. And there's thousands of these people. It's not like, oh, there's a couple. There's like thousands upon thousands of these people. They just don't have a life. So what's happened is over the last decade, that's actually become common knowledge now. And I think a lot of us didn't know that. A lot of us we all had busy lives. We didn't realize there were this many people with nothing to do. But now we realize that. And now you got to realize, see, if I was going a content creator today was the day when I started being a content creator, I would not tell you my full name. I would not tell you anything about myself. So that way you wouldn't know where I am, where I live. But, you know, that's water under the bridge. It's been so long. All my information is public and people can just fuck with me however they want, you know. But who knew 13 years ago when I started posting videos on YouTube that these toxic ass people would attach themselves to me over the time and just be so nasty. You know, I never would have thought that, right? Who the fuck would have thought that? It's just insane. So anyway, I hope that kind of answers your question. Like, if I were to turn on YouTube comments today, pretty much out of, let's say 100 comments were on a new video, 98 of them would be negative trolls trying to basically get into a negative video by saying the nastiest thing. They're all in competition to say the nastiest thing and get into a negative video about me. Stream chat's the same way. You got people in here right now who literally are just sitting here, right? And say all they're doing is they're here to shit. They're just here to pull down their pants and relieve their bowels on my stream. This is all they do. They literally sit on people's streams and shit all day. That's all they do. All right. No, Chad. Thank you for the super chat, but I'm not going to sue them. That's not how it works. And again, that's the problem with the internet. There's no way. By the way, there's a cool super chat animation. There's no way to do anything. There's no repercussions for anything that they do. You can't hold them accountable for it. They just get away with it, which sucks. Okay. Let's continue on. The next patron question is from Legits. And Legits asks the following. The new Zelda Skyward Sword HD remake has a new fast travel option that is paywalled behind an amiibo. It is already being scalped and sold out everywhere. How do you feel about Nintendo locking critical quality of life in-game features behind having to buy a $25 or more action figure in addition to the full price of the game? And do you think they will ever stop doing this stuff? I mean, honestly, how do you think I'm going to respond to this? Oh, I think it's a great idea. It's just, it's just a great way to show the customer that you really appreciate that they're going out there and rebuying the game from 10 plus years ago and supporting your content, even though you haven't put out a new Zelda game in like 4 or 5 years. It's just a great way to show the consumer that there's value behind everything. You know, whenever there's on-disc content that's locked behind a paywall, that's definitely customer appreciation. Let me tell you, it really worked for Capcom 10 years ago when they made Street Fighter Cross Tekken, a game where Street Fighter characters and Capcom characters fought with characters from the Tekken franchise, and they locked like 4 to 6 DLC characters already in the game's code behind a paywall for DLCs. Like, it worked so well that it was the beginning of the end for Ono, the game developer behind, or the lead of the studio behind the fighting games, and it led to eventually his downfall. You know, it was such a great idea. Now, obviously, this is really stupid. Obviously, this is Nintendo saying, once again, we know that we have this cultish following. We know that we have a group of people who will buy anything we put out. We could put out a turd on a disc, and we could actually call it like Super Smash Duties, and people would buy it because for some reason people put up with abuse from Nintendo, and I don't understand why. Now, it's gotten better in recent years. If you guys didn't know, finally people started holding people accountable. By the way, shout out to Sir Ignatius, who just became a supporter of the channel. Thank you, Sir Ignatius. I appreciate that. Okay. In recent years, people have finally started holding Nintendo accountable for their mess-ups. For example, the Nintendo Switch. The Joy-Cons on the Switch are trash. I'm sorry. Some people love it and they're fanboys. They are terrible. They have drift. They are not durable whatsoever. The fact that they sold that as part of the console is a joke. The Joy-Cons are crap. You need to actually buy a third-party controller for your Switch if you're going to play anything seriously on it. The Joy-Cons are meant to be a little gimmick for motion control for crappy games, but if you actually try to play a good game on the Switch, you need a better controller. It's just a matter of fact, those Joy-Cons suck. People actually sued Nintendo in a class action lawsuit, and now something is being done by Nintendo screwing over the customers. Finally, after so many years of Nintendo just getting away with it, finally people are starting to hold them accountable. So you would think maybe Nintendo learned, over the past few years, Nintendo actually did a complete 180 on certain things that used to be terrible practices that people put up with. They canceled the Nintendo partnership program on YouTube and just said anyone can upload Nintendo content now, we won't claim it anymore. That was like a huge step forward positive for Nintendo. They finally understood the gaming community and said, okay, we're going to come out and do something that people can share their experiences with our content, and we're not going to steal their revenue from it, right? So you thought Nintendo was doing better, and now all of a sudden this story comes out and you're like, what? Are you like I just can't believe it. Like, what do they do? How do you go so far in one direction and say, okay, we're actually learning, and then completely turn around and go back, right? Like, listen, Nintendo really screwed up during the era of the Wii U. The Wii U undersold monstrously to what Nintendo had expected it to sell based on the sales of the Wii. They lost a lot of money on the Wii U. In fact, they lost so much money on the Wii U that most of the games that were released as Wii U exclusives ended up being re-released on the Switch, so the people who didn't buy a Wii U were able to experience those games on a console people actually bought. Okay? Half the first-party titles for the Switch are re-releases of games that were on the Wii U. Okay? The reason that Nintendo actually kind of didn't have a crash during the era of the Wii U was this right here, Amiibos, because people are such rabid fans of Nintendo that they ran out and they bought these little figurines by the hundreds, in some cases by the thousands. They obsessed over them. They turned them into collector's items. They purchased so many of them, okay, that Nintendo actually posted profits during quarters when they weren't selling any games significantly because people bought these little fucking things, okay? During those years, I was highly critical of Nintendo and said, why are you rewarding Nintendo for being a bad game developer by buying a little collectible toy? How does this make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Why would you do that? Why reward the bad behaviors? But people did, all right? So, now here we are, 2021, and in 2021, Nintendo is going to say, we're going to take a feature that was highly recommended and highly requested from gamers in Skyward Sword. The ability to, at any time, go from where you are in the game, whether it's a town or a dungeon, and go to the overworld, because the overworld in Skyward Sword is actually the sky, flying around on your bird, okay? At any moment, you could just do that. Saves you tons of time. You don't have to be busying around, walking around, and wasting your time to get back to the overworld. Great quality of life feature. Thank you for putting that into the re-release coming out later this year. Oh, by the way, you have to buy this $25 amiibo to use it. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Like, seriously, what the fuck? What is the wrong with I just don't understand it. I don't understand how you can go that far forward and then go back. I just don't know what Nintendo is thinking. But the fact that Legit's literally just said, oh, by the way, were you aware that people are scalping those on the internet right now and they're worth a ton of money and people are buying them up and they're sold out everywhere? You are rewarding the bad behavior, right? Right now, worldwide, there's a shortage of consoles that people want the PS5, they want the Xbox Series X, more so the PS5 than the Xbox Series X. The numbers actually showed that it sold at like a 2-to-1 ratio, which is pretty insane when you think about it. But anyway, there is a worldwide shortage, all right? Scalpers have found ways to buy up all of the consoles, which sucks. Admittedly, that's terrible. Scalpers should not be able to buy consoles and keep them out of the hands of actual gamers, okay? But they have. If you go and you buy a console from a scalper because you're so desperate to have it, you can't get it any other way and you can't wait to get it legit, you are promoting and actively supporting the bad behavior that you don't want to continue to happen. If you buy from a scalper, you have now enabled that scalper to make money and continue to do what they do. Do you understand? If you, oh, well, it's the lesser of two evils. No, it's not. No, it's not. because you're a rabid Nintendo fanboy. If you go out and you buy the fucking Skyward Sword amiibo to get the fat shop, you are part of the problem. You have enabled Nintendo to do the wrong thing again. What people should collectively do is tell Nintendo to go fuck themselves and not buy the fucking amiibo. Say, no, we're not going to do that bad behavior. We're going to play the game for what it is. We like the game. We'll support the re-release. We're not going to spend money on a piece of shit that you're ripping us off for because you want to just basically nickel and dime the customer. You don't deserve that, Nintendo. We are rabid supporters of your content. We buy all your games. We promote your games all over the internet. We fiend at Nintendo Directs. These Nintendo fanboys go crazy whenever there's a new Smash Brothers character that's going to be revealed and shit. You see what I'm saying? Like, you could do all these good things. That's all fun. But the moment you buy that amiibo, you have supported the bad behavior and you're part of the problem. Nintendo would not be doing this if they didn't make money hand over fist on amiibos. They wouldn't. Okay? So I'm just saying, you know, that's my take on it. Yes, Nintendo's completely in the wrong. They should not be doing it, but how would Nintendo not know to do that? Because they've been conditioned to think at any moment they can abuse the customer base and the people will just accept it and give them more money. That's how they've been conditioned to think that this is acceptable behavior, so they'll just support it. I don't know. Have you, what is it? Like, is it Stockholm Syndrome? Like, you're abused so much by someone that it becomes, you like it? I just don't understand Nintendo fans these days. I just don't get it. By the way, I am a Nintendo fan, but I'm not one of these people who's going to support this kind of behavior. It's insane. I would never support that. So, it's terrible Nintendo's doing it. It's completely anti-consumer. People should not support it. That's my take on it. That's my opinion. Okay? Okay. Now we move on. Thank you to the patrons. Thank you to everyone who pledged to my Patreon in the last month to help me out with the whole Twitch situation that happened. Thank you to Trev Slayer and Legits for your questions. Now we move on to the forum questions. These are people who posted up on my forums over the course of the last couple of months. Okay? Okay. So, Beautiful Butterfly asks the following. Hey, Phil, in your opinion, what game did you feel didn't deserve the hate that it received? Well, there's a few games over the years. There was two that I had in mind. Now, one I'm remembering and one I can't remember. Oh, I remember now. There's a few games over the years that I feel that, sadly, there was this bandwagon mentality to, like, railroad these games in a certain way, and I don't feel that it was fair to do so, because when I actually played the games, at least from a perspective of someone who was approaching them from a way that maybe a mainstream reviewer wasn't, I actually really liked the games, all right? The first game is Resident Evil 6, okay? Now listen, admittedly, as a fan of the Resident Evil franchise, Resident Evil 6 does not play like Resident Evil at all. It's an action game. It's a third-person co-op action game where you run around. Yes, by the way, BattleDuck, OBS is running properly. Apparently, one of my browser windows is eating up a ton of RAM, and I don't know which one it is. So what I'm going to probably do here, I'm going to close a couple of browser windows and attempt to try to save RAM, because I'm being told that it's all fucked up. I'm like, oh, shit. I guess I got to close a few windows here to try to save some RAM, and hopefully nothing, crashes on me. But that was not OBS error. That was actually a RAM alert from my computer saying that my RAM was low. Figure that one out. Okay? So anyway, thank you for that heads up, BattleDuck. He tipped me $1.30. He was concerned that, the stream was going to crash or something. When it's, nah, it's fine. The stream's running fine. All right, so anyway, let me get to there we go. Get to a dark screen so it doesn't kill my eyes. Okay. So thank you, BattleDuck, for the tip as well. Yeah, Resident Evil 6, okay, was not a good Resident Evil game. In fact, I would go as far to say it really wasn't a Resident Evil game. It didn't play anything like Resident Evil. It basically took that third-person gameplay from Resident Evil 4 and 5 and turned it into an action shooter that was a co-op game. So therefore, any element of actual scariness was pretty much removed. Obviously, the only scary part of Resident Evil 6 was when you were playing as Leon. In the early stages, remember, Leon's at like a university, and all of a sudden all the students were infected and became zombies and shit, and they're coming out of the ground and shit. That's pretty scary. But outside of that one segment, the rest of the game is just shoot everything. There's no scare. Just shoot a monster. Shoot, shoot, shoot. And it really doesn't feel like Resident Evil 6. Or, excuse me, it doesn't feel like Resident Evil. But the game itself is outstanding. It's incredibly long for a Resident Evil game. It's got 3 actual differing campaigns that intersect at times. It's got amazing graphics for the time on those consoles. That game really pushed the limit of what the graphical engines could do. The gameplay was actually refined and good. The gunplay was really well done. And I remember doing a full playthrough of this game when it released, and I was blown away at how fun it was. I loved it, and everyone panned it and said the game sucked shit. I'm like, for Resident Evil, yeah, maybe, but you can't just say the whole game sucks. Like, it doesn't. Like, factually wrong. The game performs well, it looks good, there's tons of content. Just because it didn't have the survival horror aspects you were looking for doesn't mean it's a bad game. It just isn't really a Resident Evil game. All right? So that's definitely one game that over the years, I have always kind of defended and said I really felt that people gave it a hard time. All right? Murdered Soul Suspect. Now, I talk about this one, and a lot of people say Phil's completely wrong on this one, and you can disagree with me. That's fine. But Murdered Soul Suspect was a game where I felt the story was actually interesting and outstanding, and the gameplay was kind of meh. It wasn't terrible, it just wasn't good. But the story was enough to hook me that I liked the game and wanted to keep playing it to the end. Okay? A lot of people said, oh, the gameplay was just terrible. I don't want to play the game ever. And I played it for an hour and I got bored or I hated it. I played through the whole thing and actually really enjoyed it because the story was well written. It was a cool supernatural, thriller, and I liked it because of that. You were a detective who could see like ghosts and shit. You could see the other side, and you were interacting with them, and it was really cool in that regard. But a lot of people hated that game, so that's another one. Now, the one that overall, over the entirety of my content creation history, that I feel was ridiculously mistreated was Duke Nukem Forever. All right? Duke Nukem Forever is a game that was supposed to come out in the 1990s and was stuck in development hell for over a decade. By the time it came out in the early 2010s, right, I think it was like 2011 or something when it finally came out, the game played like a game from the 1990s. All right? If you liked the original Duke Nukem games, you probably liked Duke Nukem Forever because it played almost identical to those games from the 1990s. For a modernized game, it sucked ass. It didn't have any like the modern gameplay mechanics. The few things that they did modernize didn't really work very well. And the graphics were definitely not good and up to snuff with modern games. But if you were playing it as a nostalgia check, if you were playing it as a game that you were a fan of the original Duke Nukem, okay, and you wanted to get a nostalgic feel like this is a new version of an old game, that's exactly what that game did. But when that game came out, it's almost like every single media outlet went out of their way to review it poorly on purpose to create a fervor so people would check out their content. One gaming service had a girl who was like 21 years old who couldn't possibly have even played the classics in the 90s review the game. And of course she's like, oh, I don't like the gore, I don't like the sexual humor, I don't like this. It's like, did you play the original games? That's exactly what they're going for. So if you like the original games, they hit it dead on what you're looking for. Why'd you have a 21-year-old woman review the game who never played the original and is offended by sexualized content? Like, gee, you think you maybe picked the wrong fucking person to review the game? And that was the mainstream review that they actually put out for the game. It wasn't like, oh, this is one take, here's a different take. That was their official review, was like, terrible game because of these reasons. So, this has happened many times over the years where I feel that gaming media, sadly, just don't do their jobs well. They're not responsible for what they put out. They just feel that because it's a review, it's an opinion, it could be as right or wrong, as negative or positive as we feel. If one day I wake up and I got the runs, so I'm in a real bad mood, and I'm reviewing a game, the runs really piss me off, so I just say the game sucks. That's fine. That's just journalistic integrity because, I'm a journalist and it's protected because it's just an opinion, man. Like, what are you talking about? No. Just like everyone else, all right? Just like everyone else. Basically, what should happen is these companies should be held accountable for what they're doing. They should be held accountable for what they're doing. Not, oh, we're protected under the guise that it's a fucking opinion piece. That's bullshit. That's complete bullshit. All right? All right. Anyway, that's my take on it. those are some games that I thought over the years were treated unfairly. Okay, so some people are saying that my stream lagged. From my perspective, looking at it, it didn't. From my perspective, the stream's running beautifully. I'm not seeing any issues with the stream. So I don't know why people are saying that, except maybe something did. I don't know. I don't see anything on my end saying that the stream had any issues. It may be a YouTube issue. People are saying, yeah, it lagged, they had to refresh. It sounds like a YouTube issue to me, because everything on my end is still going smooth. I didn't get a warning, nothing. It's still going. That sounds like YouTube screwed up. So that's fine. You might have to refresh your streams or whatever. I apologize for that. It buffered for 20 seconds. Yeah, and you see, I'm looking, and I don't think it doesn't look like it was something on my end. What I could do, all right, give me a second. I'll double check. I got to go to the PC, obviously. Let me just double check, but I'm pretty sure that I'm good, because I closed a bunch of windows. Let's see. Let's see. Well, let's see what I can do here. I guess I could close Firefox entirely. Well, that freed up a little bit. Alright, I think I'm alright now. Okay. Alright, I think I'm good. Yeah. I definitely should be good now. I just checked, and it says that I'm only at like 60-something% of my RAM and my CPU. So I think I'm good now. I think it was just an issue where you know, some of the browser windows have been open for a long time, and that tends to eat up memory in the background. So, okay. Local Nomad took me $4. He says, I agree with you on Resident Evil 6, but I thought Capcom owes everyone who beat the game on a professional a new controller. Some of the QuickTime events during Sherry's segment require you to violently spin the joystick to complete. Yeah, that was basically the tail end of the era of every game had insane QuickTime events. Remember that? Like, there was this weird era of like 5 years where every single game that was action-based had to have like 1 million QuickTime events in it. And Resident Evil was definitely one of those franchises for some odd reason. And I can imagine if you're playing it on the hardest difficulty that they probably ramped it up to annoy you, right? So, all right. Thank you very much, Local Nomad, for the tip. Okay. Let's continue. The next question is from Muffler Bearing. And they said, would you ever join a role-playing server for content creators? The popular one right now is NoPixel 3.0, a Grand Theft Auto 5 role-playing server. You must be whitelisted to play it. Many streamers who average less than 1,000 viewers have actually joined. The server is regulated. Someone named XQC, who averages 85,000 viewers, received a 2-week ban for breaking the rules, so there's no trolls. See, here's the thing. I don't think it would work. Even if I was interested, all right? Even if I was interested in playing it, I don't think it would work, because I think the trolls would ruin it for me. Like, I think that they would find a way to flood the server and kind of fuck it over. You know what I'm saying? I feel that they would do something to ruin it for me. Even if I did nothing wrong, if I was obeying by the rules, I went on the server role-playing a character or whatever, they would try to do something to ruin it for me. You know? Do something in my name, or just attack the server because I'm on it. And then what's going to happen? Even if I'm not doing the thing that's wrong, if enough people do something that's wrong, the people responsible for that server are going to kick me off and say, well, you're just too much trouble, right? I don't feel that it would be something that would work. Now, in reality, I don't know anything about role-playing servers. I don't even know how that would work. What do you have to actually, like, impersonate or play a character? Is there voice acting involved? Like, because there's voice communication over GTA 5 Online, right? So you actually have to, like, pretend you're the real character. Like, is it like D&D in Grand Theft Auto, where you're pretending to be the character the whole time and stuff? I don't know how that would work. I don't know anything about role-playing in a game like that. I've certainly never participated in anything like that. But I just feel like even if I tried it, even though you're saying, oh, don't worry, there's all these protections in place and shit, I just feel like they would find a way around it. You know what I mean? I do. I feel like they would find a way around it and fuck it up. If this guy who apparently is a streamer gets 85,000 viewers, if he fucks it up, you know what I mean? I just get the feeling it would get fucked up somehow. Not that I have any evidence or anything of that, because I don't know anything about it. All right. If you guys would ever be interested in seeing me do something like that, obviously let me know and send that desire my way, and I will look into it. But this is the first I've really ever heard anyone even mentioning it. I didn't even know those servers existed. I didn't know anything about it. Now, thank you to Local Nomad. I forgot to call out Gunner Glasses. We raised $50 in tips so far on the stream so far today, so I put on the Gunner Glasses. That's the first tier reward. Remember, tier 2 is $100 to put on a vest, so I forgot. Thank you guys for that support, and that's why I put on the glasses, all right? Moving on, the next question is from Cisco Certified, and Cisco says the following. Social media has proven to be a useful tool when used in a positive way. However, it also has become a very dark place because of bullying, racism, fraud, and other kinds of negativity that many of its users are victims of, with very little to no accountability or punishment for the perpetrators. If every social media account required verification with higher level ID credentials, such as passports, rather than just phone numbers and email addresses, do you believe that would make users think twice before abusing or violating fellow users due to accountability, punishment, and shame that they would have to face as a result? It's an interesting premise. If you're being allowed to post on a social media site, number one, should you have to provide more information to prove you are in real life who you're actually saying you are? Can you just not make one of these crazy throwaway burner accounts? Instead, you actually have to have a verified identity in order to have a social media account. In addition, would people be held accountable for their actions on social media rather than just how it is now, which is literally, oh, it's the Wild West. If someone does something wrong, just block that person and don't deal with them ever again. But that person never gets any kind of consequence, you see? And by the way, even today, let's say, for example, you're on Twitter. Someone harasses you on Twitter. Someone says nasty shit to you. And you report them to Twitter, and Twitter says, okay, that's a violation of our rules, and they shut down their account. Within 2 seconds, they can just make a new account. Because you don't have to give any real-life information to prove who you are, so you can just make bullshit up and get a new account within minutes. Same thing here on YouTube. Why do you think, since I came from Twitch to YouTube, that the YouTube chat is such a mess? Because people can just keep making these crappy burner accounts that don't mean anything and have no verification of who they really are within minutes. So, it's an interesting take, since this is a rampant problem now, and since we're now seeing people who are being actually abused online. It's a difference between, oh, it was just someone making a few jokes versus someone's being systematically abused online. Their identity is being stolen. They're being treated like shit. You know what I mean? Like, everywhere they go, they're getting harassed. Should there be accountability for that? Obviously, as someone who's been through that for the greater part of, like, you know, I'd say argue 6 to 7 years now straight that this has happened to me. Yeah. Obviously, I feel that there should be accountability. The problem is, it goes both ways, and there's a slippery slope here that we have to be careful of, right? When you're giving your personal information to every fucking website you go to, that's your personal information, and if that leaks on the internet, you don't want it out there. Someone could then use that information to harass you even further, right? So let's say, for example, to go on Twitter, you have to actually show them your driver's license and prove that that's you. And if someone tries to make a duplicate account, it's the same person, they don't let you make duplicate accounts. So in essence, you'd only ever be able to make one Twitter account. And therefore, if it ever gets banned, you're shot. You can't use Twitter anymore, right? Of course, this is all hypothetical because you know people would find a way around it. You know people would have a fake driver's license and this and that. How on earth would the staff of fucking Twitter be able to figure out who's real and who's not? They probably wouldn't be able to with any degree of accuracy, all right? But at the very least, a level of security there that doesn't exist right now, do you think that would deter people? No, I don't think it would deter people at all. I just think you'd have people acting like assholes and getting banned and then not being able to continue that inappropriate behavior. But my concern would be these companies, as is today, are not secure. How many times do you hear about a data breach? This company had a data breach. That company had a data breach. Oops, our database was accessed by someone on the outside who shouldn't have had access. And even though we don't have any concrete evidence that any personal information could have been leaked, there's a possibility. And therefore, we're going to provide you with a year of free identity theft protection service right here at this link. I'm not, over the course of me being an adult, I think that's happened to me like 5-6 times. Like, I remember a long time ago, I can't remember what it was, but one of the schools that I went to contacted me over the years and said they had a data breach. It wasn't my main university. I guess there was like another school that I'd gone to, I think for like my master's degree at one point. And they said they had a data breach. The internet, all the shit was on the internet. You get this all the time with forum dumps, like old ass forums that don't exist anymore or went out of business, but you registered for the forum and somehow your information, your email, your old password from the forum gets dumped on the internet, right? This just tends to happen. Hell, I got it from a bank that I had a credit card with once. Oh, sorry, all the information got leaked. And the thing is, like, there's really no recourse for that. When you sign up for those companies, in their terms of service and shit, it always says we're not responsible for a data breach and shit like that. That's just a risk you're taking by giving them your personal info. That's a risk you're taking. And it's just one that you're expected to take. I don't see how that works, because I think that if a company is given your personal information, it should be under their responsibility to protect that information and make sure it doesn't get into the wrong hands. And if it does, you should be able to sue the fuck out of them. But apparently all these companies have these weird agreements, arbitration agreements and shit that say you can't do that. Okay? But I'm not kidding. Like maybe 6 times since I've been an adult, that's happened to me with various accounts and things all over the internet. I get a random letter in the mail. Data breach. Your data may be out there, and therefore here's free identity theft protection for a year. Okay? So what's to say that you go to, say, Twitter or Facebook or YouTube or, you know what I mean? And you create an account. Oh, you need to verify your identity. Okay, here's my driver's license. Oops, data breach. Your driver's license is now on the internet. Right? So, I don't know. Like, that's what I mean. Like, it's kind of a double-edged sword here. Would there be more protections? Possibly. Maybe you could actually get some of these assholes off the internet and not able to harass people systematically anymore. At the same time, if someone's that dedicated to having no life and harassing someone on the internet, likely they're going to find a way to make fake accounts anyway. And now your real-life information is out there, and what if one of these companies fucks up, and now your information gets accessed by someone, right? Like, it's kind of like, I can see both ways. I can see there could be some good things to it, but there could be some very, 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 very bad things resulting from that. You see what I'm saying? So, I don't know. Like, I would need to be convinced by a company. I would need to be convinced by a company that they are responsible enough to handle my personal info, to give them that info. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if that would add a layer of protection or not. What's to stop someone from just making shit up? I mean, there have been people making fake driver's licenses forever, right? So what's to say that someone wouldn't be able to just do that easily and send that information and do fake stuff? You know what I'm saying? So, let's see here. Baby Vaso to me $3 said, it's all about embracing the trolls. They'll never go away. Have you not entertained the idea of requiring a $25 minimum to answer questions about trolls? Ban personal and sexual questions, but if you require $25 or more, everyone wins. What? So you're saying monetize the troll content. Anything that's negative about me, a negative question or a negative about trolls, I should monetize that content. Wow. I mean, you want to talk about trying to benefit from negativity. Monetize the negativity, right? No, I will admit, Baby Vaso, I'll be very honest with you here. I don't think that's ever occurred to me to monetize the negativity. I prefer to try to ignore the negativity or focus on the positivity. If there's a random question I get during Ask the King that has to do with trolls or whatever, you know, I'll try to answer it as matter-of-factly as I can. But I would prefer not to focus in on a big deal. Like, and you know what I mean? Like, here's the thing. I understand what you're saying, but do you want an entire show of toxic questions to be answered? And you know what would happen is people would just say that they're not satisfied with the answers because the whole reason that they asked the question was to troll me anyway. So they'd constantly be trying to bring up problems. Whenever there's money involved, That's when big problems arise. You see what I'm saying? Like right now, these questions were posted on my forums, and people, if I answer your question or not, it's of no consequence, right? People who pledge to my Patreon, I fully answer their questions in a big amount of detail because these are positive people who are supporters of mine and want their questions answered. But now, let's say, oh, it's $25 to get a question answered that's a trollish question, right? Not only do we have an entire segment of this show that would be arguably really negative and real fans wouldn't like, but in addition to that, the trolls would just fucking try to hurt me anyway. So, for example, they would say, oh, well, I pledged to Phil's Patreon. He didn't answer my question the way that I wanted. And therefore, I'm going to complain to Patreon and say he doesn't go through his pledges properly to try to get him out of the program. You see what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're trying to monetize or not. They're just going to try to spin it in a negative way. So I would just rather not do that and not open the can of worms. You know what I mean? Why hit the hornet's nest with that big stick? Fuck that. Stay away from the hornet's nest, right? Okay. Let's do one more question, then we'll take our first break for the show. So this question is from Hans Sala, and he says, what are your thoughts on games being announced way too early? Do you think that a game will lose its hype and people lose interest as time passes? Why do you think that they do it? One example would be Elden Ring. It was announced before 700 days have now passed, and there's still no information on that game according to the rumors. It won't even be shown at the upcoming E3. Yeah, here's the thing. When it comes to games promotion, and when it comes to building hype for a game, all right, I think now these game studios are realizing that there's a way to go about it not to create unreasonable expectations, all right? For example, a game like Cyberpunk 2077, that game was announced so long ago, and then no information for an extended period of time. Then you'd be given a piece of information that promised something, and then they start showing gameplay of it years later, and that's not even representative of what the final game is going to be. It's just an idea. Okay? You see what I'm saying? Like, Cyberpunk is the textbook way not to do it. They built up so much hype for their own game through promises they couldn't keep, through showing the game over the years in ways that wasn't even the real game. It was actual fake. They were claiming it was in-game content. It wasn't. It was all pre-rendered shit that was not really game engine stuff. It was bullshit. They lied. And when you hype a game up so much, you have such high expectations by the time it comes out, there's no way you're ever going to live up to them. Now, by the way, I'm not defending CD Projekt Red because they fucked that game up royally. Everyone knows how bad that game is. And still is. Even after how many months now? 6, 7 months? It's not a good game. Still now, it's a piece of shit. Okay? There's got to be a way to balance hype and anticipation for a game with actual knowledge or information of the development cycle of said game to a final product. And I don't know if it's 2 years, I don't know if it's 3 years, if it's 1 year. Like, for example, I don't know if there's a sweet spot or if there's an exact direct formula yet. But I think what these game developers are now realizing is if you announce a game way too early, you will create this air of anticipation that you then can never live up to because people have been waiting for this game for so long. No matter what you put out, it will not be good enough, you see? Dying Light 2 was announced how many years ago? I want to say 4, 5. I remember, at least 2 E3s ago. Now, last year there was no E3. So it's not E3 2019. We're probably talking E3 2018, where they announced the game and there was gameplay footage of it and everything, right? And this game has just been stuck in development hell for like 4 years. It's crazy how long it's been in development, and still we don't have information about this game. Finally, today we got it. It's coming out in December, right? Now, after waiting 4 or 5 years for the game, do you really think that whatever comes out in December, that people are going to be super happy with it? Because they waited for so long, you see? Elden Ring is a game that's being developed by From Software, arguably one of the biggest AAA studios now in the world, because they put out a special kind of game that people really enjoy, all right? The ultra difficult, unforgiving kind of game. And full of lore, great graphics usually, great gameplay elements, right? But Elden Ring's been in development now for, like he just said, over 2 years we knew about it. All we knew is that the maker of Game of Thrones would be involved in it. We didn't know to what capacity, but that just built up more hype for it. But the fact that we haven't seen any significant gameplay out of this game at all, in how long, right? In how effing long? It's just like out of control. And what happens is this is going to build up resentment. This is going to build up feelings of being upset because this is a fan base that's now become so into the From Software formula. They want those games. There's entire streamers that all they do is stream From Software games. And there's not that many. There's not that many. You know, the Soulsborne games, there's not that many of them. So how you make content out of that constantly, I don't even know, right? So for me, you know, I hear, oh, a game's coming out. I'm like, that's great. Is there any information about the game? Do we have any idea when it's coming out or anything? I don't get hyped for a gameplay trailer anymore. I just don't. When I see a first trailer announcement for a game, I don't get hyped at all. I'm happy to know a game's being developed, but I don't get hyped for it anymore. Because just because there was a gameplay trailer today doesn't mean you're going to see that in the next 5 years. Why get hyped over something that you're going to wait that long for? That anticipation is just going to gnaw away at you and make you feel awful, you know? So yeah, I actually feel now that we're seeing certain games like Cyberpunk flop completely, you know CD Projekt Red is very, very remorseful that they did what they did with that game and that they announced it so early, that they had to redesign it multiple times during its life cycle, and they weren't transparent with the stuff they were putting out to the public about it. You know, they're like, fuck, man, we can never do that again. In fact, if they're working on a new Witcher or they're working on another project, I would guarantee you're not going to hear anything about it until like a year before it's ready. Because they don't want to make that same mistake again, you see? And the same thing with Elden Ring. Like, if From Software wasn't ready to start putting out information about Elden Ring, why even tell anyone about it? I don't understand that. Why did they even bother announcing it if they weren't ready to give any kind of info at all? Like, and then we get a leak. Remember earlier this year, what was it, 2-3 months ago? There was an actual leak, what it appears to be a legitimate gameplay trailer for the game that they were probably going to be releasing around now, around Summer Games Fest, E3 time. They likely were going to be releasing that around now. That leaked. They were silent. Completely radio silent. No response, nothing about if it's legit or not. And now the rumor is they're not even going to present anything at E3 or Games Fest. It's like, wait, what? Well, you had a trailer ready, so obviously you were going to. You see? So, for me, I feel that, yes, there has to be like a newly established way to go about game promotion. And it can't be announce your game way before it's ready. Beyond Good and Evil 2, are you kidding me? Is that game even still being made? That game was announced how many years ago, and we have nothing. We don't even have a single piece of gameplay yet. So why do we care? Why did we get hype about it 4 or 5 years ago, right? So yeah, I think game companies are going to be a lot more skeptical about when they announce things. They basically need to have a game ready and in the pipeline. So if you can release your game within the next year, announce it and hype it up and promote it. But if you can't, don't bother. Because all you're going to do is get people that are overhyped and disappointed by the time it finally comes out. That's my take on it, okay? All right, really quickly. Only Ice Coffee tipped me $1.30 saying he accidentally forgot to post up his Patreon question, but he's wondering, do I have any regrets in my life about his streaming career? And if so, what would be the biggest regret for life in my career? I mean, my regret is that my personal life sadly gets affected by this. Like, I love what I do for a living, but my personal life should not be affected by things that happen, and it does all the time. You know, it does. My ability to provide for my family shouldn't be affected by, oh, today some dumb fuck over at Twitch decided to cancel my partnership and not tell me why and not legitimize it at all. You know what I'm saying? And then I go, and my wife is crying because she feels like I've been mistreated awfully, and she's hoping that everything's going to be okay. It's fucked up stuff. It shouldn't happen. It just shouldn't happen at all. I shouldn't have anything behind the scenes in my personal life affected by what I'm doing on a stream, but it happens all the time. And it's fucked up in that regard. I wish that at some point in my life I had found a way to separate my personal life completely from my professional life. That didn't happen. When I started on YouTube, this was a new thing. I didn't realize that information that I had given out years and years ago would turn into a way to stalk me and basically ruin shit for me behind the scenes constantly. I didn't know that. Okay, I just didn't. And it's fucked up to the lengths that some people go to try to ruin things for me and my family. Being honest here without going to any specifics, there's been some really fucked up, messed up things that have happened to me over the years that I don't talk about on stream because you don't want to give that kind of shit attention. You just don't. Okay? And It's just really messed up that even though I will take personal responsibility for a lot of the things that have happened to me over the years, that a lot of the times it's at least because of the actions of some fucking troll on the internet. You know, how stupid is that? Some dumb fucking troll, some no-life loser actually concretely hurt me. And that's what they want to hear. That's exactly why they do it, you know? But if I don't tell you guys about it and tell you the truth, then I won't even be able to get through half the shit that they do to me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just fucked up. And my regret is I wish over the years I would have been able to separate this content from things that affect my personal life. If I could have had it completely separate, that way there was no overcrossing pain, that would have been amazing. Don't get me wrong. The way that I now perform my personal life separate from my content has been tremendously helpful. My wife and I love our life right now and want it to continue this way. We don't want to have that overlap right now. Everything that we say and do outside of my streams somehow spills onto the fucking internet. We don't want that. We want to have our own personal life behind the scenes that is not affected by things that I do on my streams, okay? But there's crossovers and there's not much I can do about it. You know, that's probably my biggest regret, I would say. I wish that I could have done something differently in that regard, but when I started, I had no idea that anything that I said or did on the internet would result in the amazing amount of negativity and negative influence on my life that it has. Okay? An anonymous $1.30 tipper says, after the big rant about Nintendo, surely you're not going to play Skyward Sword HD and enable Nintendo's bad behavior for your money. There's no reason to not buy the game, just don't buy the amiibo. There's nothing wrong with Nintendo over 10 years later re-releasing a game that a lot of people liked a decade ago. And by the way, my major concern and criticism of the game a decade ago was that the Wii forced you to use motion controls when you played it, and the motion controls were absolutely fucking terrible, and it made the game annoying as shit. Everything about that game I liked except the motion controls. So now that they're re-releasing it, yes, I'm going to replay it, and yes, I'm going to play it without motion controls so I can actually enjoy what the game was supposed to be before they added in the shitty gimmick. Okay? That doesn't promote the bad behavior. What promotes the bad behavior is then going out and buying a $25 amiibo. That's the bad behavior that you should not be supporting. Okay? Murdoch has tipped me $50. Says, did you ever get into a physical fight because of a Street Fighter match? No. Not once in my life did I actually have to physically fight anyone as a result of a Street Fighter match. I have resulted people fight. I have witnessed people fight in real life as a result of a Street Fighter match. But I have never myself gotten to that point. I think that's incredibly stupid. If you're letting yourself get that worked up over a video game, I think you missed the point of the video game and you're an idiot. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really dumb that you would get yourself so worked up over a match in a video game that you're now going to physically fight someone. You're going to risk physical injury to yourself or them. You're going to risk going to jail. Like, are you an idiot? If you get into a fight over a video game, the answer is yes, you're an idiot. Okay? All right. Thank you, Murdoch. Biggest tip of the day. There will be a vest, but it's actually time for break. So we're going to take a quick break here. If you're watching live on stream, give me about 10 minutes to take a little break and unwind. If you're watching on demand on YouTube, then there will actually be another part coming up. All right? And I'll have a vest on when I come back. I'll choose. I mean, the last vest I wore recently was the camo, the platinum. I'm wearing a gray shirt. So I'm trying to think what vest would really stand out. There's 2 or 3 vests that would really stand out today. So, all right. Let's take a break. I'll be back in a few minutes with part 2 of Ask the King. Thank you so far to everyone who's chilled with me, supported the stream. More coming, all right? Thanks, guys, and I'll see you all in a bit.